Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is The Advocate, and today I just wanted to go ahead and hop on here real quick to show you guys the brand new covers of the A Song of Ice and Fire series and see if they're worth your time and or money. So I just got these in today. By the way, I'm opening up the packaging for this. I'm also curious to see if there are any additional changes to the new A Song of Ice and Fire books besides just a new coat of paint on the same old book. So yeah, let's take a look. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we've got the brand new cover art, or brand new covers, I should say, for the A Song of Ice and Fire series. And I'm, again, very curious to see just kind of what else is in this new package with, in addition to just the new covers. If you guys haven't seen the new covers floating around, I guess I'll go ahead and show you guys what they look like. So we've got all the first 5 books in the main A Song of Ice and Fire series. Obviously, the Winds of Winter is the big mystery one that we're all still waiting on. But for the time being, if you don't own the A Song of Ice and Fire series and have never read these books and are looking to get into the series, then I guess these new cover versions are a good gateway into them. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't even notice that there was cardboard between each one of these books. But anyway, we've got the Game of Thrones book right here. Let me focus the camera right here. Yeah, so we've got this Game of Thrones book. I believe that's Ned Stark right there, just kind of climbing on the sigil of the direwolf right there. A Game of Thrones by George R. R. Martin. Now, one thing I am kind of grateful for with these new cover art versions is the fact that you don't see anywhere on here the little sticker that says, oh, this is now an HBO TV show. Make sure to watch the Game of Thrones TV show on the Max streaming service. There's nothing like that. It's very clean. It's just the cover art and that's it. And I really appreciate that. I really don't like it when books just kind of plaster the title of whatever show adaptation that the book is being adapted to and advertising the streaming service that it's on. It just kind of ruins the immersion just a little bit. So yeah, George R. R. Martin, A Game of Thrones, and then, right back here, we've got a little summary here of what happens in A Game of Thrones. In a land where summers can last decades and winters a lifetime, trouble is brewing. I believe this is the same summary that was in the previous book cover for A Game of Thrones. I don't have that on hand with me right at this moment, but I'll have to double check if that's the case. Now, one of the things I'll be curious to see, and I actually do have a copy of the previous version of A Clash of Kings and A Dance with Dragons, because there's something I want to confirm here. I am curious to see if, very cool. I want to confirm if there have been any text revisions to the book, the text of the book, in addition to just having the new cover art. Based on what I'm seeing here, the copyright 2011 Bantam Books Mass Market Edition, I don't think any of the text has been revised, but we'll go ahead and just kind of confirm that here shortly. We've got the Clash of Kings book cover. Pretty cool. I'm not sure who that... I believe that's Jon Snow as he's entering the cave there at the one of the final chapters here in this book. By the way, if it wasn't already obvious before, this little video here is spoilers for the A Song of Ice and Fire books. So if you haven't read the books, then make sure to read them before coming here to this video. But if you just kind of want my overall thoughts on what these look like, they're pretty cool. A comet the color of blood and flames cuts across the sky. Actually, I have the copy of A Clash of Kings right here. And the Seagull anticipated. Yep. Comet the color of blood and flame cuts across the sky. Yeah, okay, yeah. So most of the text here and the summaries here appear to be the same. Now, there's one thing I actually want to confirm with these new cover versions. You know, as we already saw earlier, it seems like the original Game of Thrones book, it has not been changed in any way in terms of the text. But I want to confirm here to see if the A Clash of Kings book has been changed, because there's something here within this book that has humongous lore implications for A Dance with Dragons, that book. So 2011 Bantam Books. Okay, so I believe the text that is in this book is still the same text that we saw in the previous version from the most recent 2011 release of the previous cover version. So I don't believe that there has been any attempts to change the text, but there's something I want to point you guys to. So if you look here, and this is the American mass market paperback edition of this book of A Clash of Kings. And in general, most of these new book cover versions, I believe, are specific to the American mass market as opposed to any other markets. If anyone lives in any other English-speaking territories and can confirm if you guys are receiving these new book cover versions, I would love to hear from you guys. But one thing that I actually wanted to find out, one thing I was very curious about with these new cover versions. So in the old cover version of A Clash of Kings, here Varys and Tyrion have a conversation in the Tyrion 4 chapter where Varys reveals right here, the prince is a sentimental man, and he still mourns his sister Elia and her sweet babe. That right there has humongous implications for the plot twist reveal in A Dance with Dragons, where it is revealed that young Griff is the, well, speculated / alleged still alive Aegon Targaryen, Aegon who was murdered at Maegor's Holdfast during Robert's Rebellion. Here, Varys specifies that only one of the babes died at Maegor's Holdfast, hence the singular use of the word babe, as there's no S here for the plural version of babes, meaning that as far early as 1998, when A Clash of Kings was first released, George R. R. Martin had the idea for only one of Elia's babes being dead, henceforth young Griff being Aegon Targaryen. However, one thing that I'm very curious about is, does the new cover version follow through on that? And nope, it's still the same. So literally the lore implications are still there for Aegon Targaryen being alive. The possibility is still there that young Griff may in fact be actually Aegon, because Varys only says that there was one babe that died back then and not two. So the text is unchanged. The lore implications are still the same. Another thing I wanted to kind of take a look at is, if you guys have seen my review of A Dance with Dragons, you know that there were a lot of grammar and spelling, just all sorts of editing mistakes within this cover version of the book that just kind of not necessarily drove me up a wall, but I very much noticed on my first read through. I did find them kind of distracting, and I want to verify if, right now we've seen that there's been no changes to the text for any of these previous versions, but maybe the A Dance with Dragons book, after a lot of people complained about the spelling and grammar mistakes within this book, maybe George R. R. Martin had his editors go back through and kind of just clean up some of the gunky spelling mistakes. Oh, and by the way, A Storm of Swords I didn't show you guys. A Storm of Swords, we have, I don't know who that is. It kind of looks like Roose Bolton, but I don't think that's Roose Bolton. I'm not sure if the characters here are supposed to be any characters in particular from the series, or if they're just random art of people that look like they're from the A Song of Ice and Fire universe. But we've got someone on a stag in the same summary that we saw in the previous version of A Storm of Swords. A Feast for Crows. Oh, we've got, that looks like Brienne of Tarth, but again, these could just be random silhouettes of characters that are meant to look like they're from the A Song of Ice and Fire series, but could potentially not be anybody. We have a crow right here, of course, A Feast for Crows. Very cool. And then A Dance with Dragons, and this is the eye. I didn't know that this was the eye of a dragon until someone pointed it out a couple months ago. That's pretty cool. The dragon scales. Dance with Dragons. Very cool. Bantam and their new logo. Okay, so let's check something right here. Again, I'm curious. Judging by the previous books, I don't think anything has been changed, but I just want to verify to see if anything has been adjusted here with the new books. Okay, 2013 Bantam Books Mass Market Edition. Yeah, this tells me that the text has not been touched up or edited, or basically nothing has been altered here when compared to the original version. But let's just, let's take a look at some of the, at the previous text and kind of compare and contrast. So I've got bookmarks here of basically editing and spelling mistakes that I found in the A Dance with Dragons books. These are not all of them. These are just the ones that kind of stuck out to me. There's way more than these bookmarks I've bookmarked. But anyway, here on page 59, paragraph 3, right here. They North rode with Rob. That should be the North rode with Rob. And per my research, it seems that the Kindle edition has the correct word usage here for the word the instead of they. They North rode with Rob. That doesn't really make much sense. I want to verify if that has been changed. That was page 59, paragraph 3. Yep, no, it's not been changed. They North rode with Rob. Yeah, this text looks It's basically these books are just a new coat of paint over the same text, despite the fact that some of the text has spelling and grammatical issues. Yeah, for hands of gold are always gold. That should be cold, especially because the same song is said once, like a couple more times throughout this chapter, yet George R. R. Martin kind of got it wrong. Let's take a look at, again, the same thing right here. For hands of gold are always gold. Yep, no, that's still there. The same mistakes are still there. Let me just take a look at one last thing. Page 794 at the Cersei 1 chapter, where Cersei is talking with Kevin Lannister. Kevin says, "You think I care a cup of wine? Lancel is my son, Cersei, your own nephew." That is wrong. Kevin's son would be Cersei's cousin, not nephew. It's a simple oversight on George R. R. Martin's behalf. You know, again, A Dance of Dragons was kind of rushed to publication in order to meet that 2011 deadline where they were really trying hard to make sure this book was published to kind of catch the height of the, well, at that point in time, the hype of the first season of Game of Thrones. The first season had just aired. The A Song of Ice and Fire series was seeing an explosion in popularity, at least relative to the time. So if we compare and contrast, 794, Lancel is my son, Cersei, your own nephew. Yep, it's still the same. So literally nothing about these books has been changed. Text-wise, no further edits. None of the grammatical or spelling mistakes or any of the canonical lore implications have been altered. The text is identical to what we saw in the previous books. Literally, it's just a new coat of paint on the same old text. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. If you couldn't already guess by my tone of voice, I'm a little bit disappointed in these new cover versions. I mean, the art is good, and that was the main selling point of the new cover art versions of the first 5 books in the A Song of Ice and Fire series. But I don't know, I guess maybe I was expecting a few more changes besides just the art. So once again, if you have not read the first 5 books in the A Song of Ice and Fire series or do not own the physical versions of these books, I think these new cover art versions are a good investment and hopefully should last you a while. The previous versions of the American mass market paperback editions, they've got a few problems here. The ink smudges, some pages fall off here and there. If you're not careful with them anyway, if you're careful with them, I don't think you should have too many problems. But if you do own the previous 2011 release versions of the American mass market paperback editions of the A Song of Ice and Fire series, and you're wondering if you should take the time and money to purchase these new cover versions, my answer would be no. Save your money and time. Cover art to me is not a selling point. Maybe to collectors or others it is, but for me, it's unless there is an actual change within the narrative that either alters the canon or the lore, or even just, again, fixing some of the editing and spelling and grammar mistakes within the books, then I would say it's slightly more worth it. But as is, it's just not for me. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is my review of the new cover art versions of the A Song of Ice and Fire series. If you do have the new cover versions or have not purchased any physical version for the A Song of Ice and Fire series, I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comment section down below. Go ahead and give me a like. Consider subscribing to this channel as well. I could really use all the help I can get. Thank you so much, guys. And until next time, The Advocate, out.